Let's start today's podcast not with music, but let's do an Om, the music of our heart and the music of our soul. You might not be in a place where you can do it out loud, but just in your heart, or maybe even just humming to yourself. But let's set the stage with an Om, because we're going to cover some delicate stuff today, so let's get in the right spirit for it. Hi, everybody. Thomas Miller. This is the Fun Astrology Podcast. If it happens to be your first time, this is typically not how we begin, but yesterday I asked if you guys liked this approach to using current events to look at the astrology behind it, and you overwhelmingly said yes. Great way to learn. But don't tip it into the gossip and politics and all that stuff, and I won't. We'll stay on the high ground. Promise. So I think we'll do some here, not a lot. Mostly it will be on YouTube and TikTok. But anything we do here will be educationally focused. So there is a great lesson from this Russell Brand story that continues to develop. And if you're already saying or screaming into your phone, Neptune in Pisces, yes, that's where we're going to focus. In fact, let's look at all of the Neptune transits back to the 60s, because it's really interesting. Truthful, untruthful. Lies, deception, illusion, delusion, false accusations, denial when it was really true, all of it is encompassed in Neptune in Pisces. So with Russell Brand, the story is definitely amping up. But I saw from Katy Perry where she said back in 2011-12 that she had stuff that she was saving for a rainy day, not telling the whole story. And that was when Neptune was starting to transit into Pisces. My gosh, you can't make this stuff up. But we had a call, and it goes with this. A quote I found where it said, Brand strenuously denies all allegations made against him and insists the mammoth number of relationships he encountered while a self-confessed sex addict were consensual. And then we had one of you, a listener, observe this.
But I'm a 48-year-old woman who has seen my fair share of those kind of issues in my life and in others. And it seems to me that there's a certain type of male individual who feels, who legitimately, they may have done the thing, but legitimately doesn't think they did what they were being accused of. They think that what they did was fine and that the other person thought it was fine as well. So I wonder if that might play a factor as well.
Thank you so much for that comment. And, self-deception is the biggest deception. I think of the parable with Jesus where the religious leaders were going to stone the woman caught in adultery, and they asked Jesus what he thought, and he looked at them and said, well, if you haven't done this, then you can throw a stone. Says they all dropped their rocks and walked away. So we're talking about astrology. Let's go back and get some astrological context here. So in the early 1960s, Neptune was in secrecy Scorpio. Look at what was done then that never came out. Sexuality back then was in this revolutionary phase of new explorations in scorpionic ways. Look how journalism handled John F. Kennedy. I'm not talking about his assassination. I'm talking about his infidelities. They all knew it. They just never reported it. Back then, that was the journalistic code of ethics. You keep quiet about it. Well, then, in the 1970s, it moved into Sagittarius, the party sign. Now, we did have Watergate in the early 1970s. 1972 was the break-in year, and Neptune was at 2 degrees Sagittarius for that. But see, that explanation is very easy. Sagittarius ruled by Jupiter. What is Jupiter magnified on the shadow side but arrogance of being untouchable? Too important to get caught. And that president, remember, Nixon, ran against Kennedy in 1960. He was going under the old rules. Oh, they'll not say anything about it. The times have changed. Well, on we go. Now Capricorn, the yuppie years, the millennial kids starting to be born. What was the big scandal then? Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky. You can see how this is amping up because that one became an impeachment trial. Capricorn. Now we move into the 2000s. Remember Y2K? The world was going to end. Well, it didn't. But think about what also happened during that decade. Tech companies with a well-crafted, slick business plan No earnings, and in some cases, no revenue. We're selling at billion-dollar multiples. Lies and deceptions? Yeah, around technology. The bubble broke, and it took 10 years for it to heal. Then in 2011 and 2012, here we come with Neptune in Pisces, and that's where we are today. So just reflect in your own life over the past 10 or 12 years. What has the truth, the awareness of the truth, exposure to the truth, who lies, who doesn't lie? It's like, where can you not find it, right? Politicians lie, corporations lie, your coworkers lie, everybody. It's like it's just expected. Well, Neptune moving into the later degrees of Pisces begs the question, what lids are going to come off of what boxes? And back to our listener's thought or point, the whole truth process has to begin with us individually. And I know I'm going a little bit long here, but one more point. This kind of goes with tomorrow's aspect, which happens early after midnight. The sun trines Pluto. Let's talk about that tomorrow. But Pluto, transformation. Russell Brand appears to have transformed his life. He's now married. He has 2 kids. He has a different message. And now all of this is coming out, and just in the last 48 hours, he has basically been taken down. Wherever this goes, I feel sorry for those kids. And yet, I know on the spiritual plane, I know, they chose this path and they chose their parents, and this will shape their lives. But back to Jesus' story about throwing stones, I am someone who transformed my life. Mine was in different areas, but transformation nonetheless. But another factor, and I'm not clear on this, but just saying it looks like there is this element that if you transform counterculturally, that transformation can be punished. And I'm not sure how that fits in with this transit. We'll have to think about that some more. But back to our caller's point, and it's a great one. I think of the line that you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with. You want to look up another Bible verse. In 1 Corinthians 15, verse 33, it says, "Do not be deceived." Neptune in Pisces. Bad company corrupts good morals. And that's the other thing I think that Neptune in Pisces is pointing us toward, and that is being wise about who we allow in our lives. You guys have a great one. I'll see you back tomorrow. Thanks for the extra time today. Pluto and the Sun in a trine. Transformation is the theme there. You'll be in it all day. See you tomorrow.